Yo, welcome back to Heb Hangs. I'm so incredibly dehydrated. It's 2 p.m. and all I've had today is an oat milk pistachio cold brew. It was so good. Oh, here's Rocky licking himself. Must you? Right now, right here. And a guava cheese pastry from TEAAAA. I hear my tummy a rumbling. You ever have those days where you just like don't feed yourself well? It's just one of those days. But I did make a veggie mash smoothie so I could sip on. Whoops. My camera, well, not my camera ran out of storage. My memory card ran out of storage because I record these episodes and then I never delete it because I think, well, what if one day I'll need this footage for something? Bitch, I don't need this footage. It's all imported. It's all on my computer anyway. I definitely don't need it on my card. But so this is a really tasty veggie mash smoothie. Love how thick it is. Basically, when my skin was really, really bad a couple years ago, I had pretty severe cystic acne all over my face. It was really painful and embarrassing and knocked my confidence. But when I had that, I ended up seeing a naturopath and she suggested, well, so we did a lot of tests on my stomach and I don't think we did blood, but we tested the microbiome of my mouth. I had to do like stool tests to check the microbiome of my tummy. So lots of things like that and like a super extensive questionnaire. And basically we determined that we needed to heal my gut. And bitch, it fucking worked. Shout out naturopaths. People are so quick to write that shit off. They're like, well, unless you're giving me a pill, like a chemical pill, then like that, save that woo-woo shit for someone else. And like, okay, yeah, there is some truth to that. Like, there may be some extremes. I don't know, but it makes sense that so many of our issues come from what we're putting in our bodies. Duh. You literally are what you eat. What you put in your body is what your body becomes. So if my stomach is fucked up, then it's going to affect the whole rest of my body. So when I first had severe acne, I was trying to fix it with like products, like topical products, and it kind of worked a little bit. And then it kept coming back and eventually determined, hey, buddy boy, did you decide to join today? Oh, he's being extra cute and sweet and special today. He needs a haircut. Don't judge. Oh, look at how sweet and cute you are. I love you, sweet little angel bean. But yeah, so I ended up cutting out dairy and that cleared up my skin. Oh, do you want to come even closer? Oh, sweet baby angel. I love hymns. Also, someone told me, they messaged me and they were like, girl, you got to figure out your Mac display settings so you don't need to keep wiggling your mouse. I fucking tried. They make this shit so hard. Macs are so hard to figure out to me. I miss my PC. Kinda. Macs are cool and sleek and all that, but anytime I want to figure out a setting, it's so hard to fucking figure out. And they put shit in weird goddamn fucking places. It pisses me off. God, I'm getting upset now. Why do they make it so hard? I'm always Googling. I have Googled how to make folders snap to grid 10 times and I still can't figure it the fuck out. And I'm not stupid. I'm not stupid. Okay. I'm definitely not stupid. That's obviously not the issue. But yeah, I can't figure it out. So I will continue to keep wiggling my mouse until someone tells me how to fucking do it. But anyway, also recently found out that my dad watches all these. So that's really fun. I just keep thinking, what have I said? I swear up a storm, talk about sex and things. So sorry, Dad, but also you don't gotta watch it. So, but what was I saying? What the fuck? Oh yeah. So I cut out dairy and that cleared out my skin. Oh yeah. And then when it came back, saw the naturopath, we did all these tests and she gave me tons of supplements. She told me I should, I was vegan at the time and soy free. And she was like, you know, people are always so quick to cut things out, but maybe you need to start thinking about adding some things back in. So she encouraged me to incorporate some fish and eggs back into my diet. And then it's a slippery slope. I ate a lot of fish, I ate a lot of eggs, but then I started eating some chicken, and now I'm just not vegan. But that, and then she gave me tons of supplements as well. I was seriously taking like probably close between 10 to 15 pills at like in the morning and at night. And then like some liquid supplements and some stuff at lunch and some stuff with every meal, sometimes after meals. It was a ton, and they were super expensive. But I was like, fuck it. I'm so sick of my face looking like this. I am willing to invest and figure this shit out. I got a supplement for my dog so that he had a healthy microbiome. So I went in, and one of those things she said also was creating veggie mash. So basically what you do is you blend up, because she said, okay, it's very important to get your fruits and veggies in particular. But what is most important than, or more important than the amount, is the variety. So she told me like 15 to 20, but I always do over 20. I think I did like 25, but different veggies and herbs. Why don't we pronounce the H? Should be herbs. That's one thing the Brits have right. There's an H there. Let's pronounce the H. Oh, did you hear a doggy bark? So yeah, there's fucking like turmeric, rainbow chard, kale, 3 different colors of carrots. The variety is really important. Lots of different colors is very important because different colored veggies carry different types of nutrients. So I did a big old giant pot of that. Thank you, Rocky. I'm just going to get the cord from underneath you. Thanks, buddy. Oh, I love hymns. Lots of different colors. I blended it all up in this giant pot. It was just like this disgusting just mush with like chunks of ginger and whatever. I blended it all up, put it in there, mixed it all up. And then I separate them out into different little baggies, and I do about a 1/3 cup in each baggie. And then I add that to a smoothie. It does not taste very good, but I have found different ways to make it taste better. I like to do like a fruit medley. Banana is pretty good with it. One time I put an orange in there. That was really good. But right now I have like pineapple is really good for cutting through. I have like a banana, pineapple, dragon fruit, like medley, frozen medley thingy that I put in there. And it's not to make it tasty. It's to make it tolerable. Sometimes there are days where I'm like, ooh, this is actually pretty good. It's not like a smoothie you'd get at Jamba Juice or anything, but it's pretty good. But anyway, so I started drinking those as well to help heal my gut, and all of it in combination has worked basically. I still get acne here and there, but I think it's usually when I like gorge out on some dairy. But I've stopped being so strict with myself. I do miss being vegan for the animals and for the planet and for my body, because I know I don't want pork and stuff in my body. But man, it's a slippery slope, and it's hard, and I'm but a weakling, and it's so tasty. Like, yeah, I'm making that choice to kind of block it out. I just can't think about it too hard. When I start thinking about what I'm eating, then I get sad, and I know that's the point. They keep these things so removed from us so we don't actually know where our food is coming from, so that we do keep eating it. Like I understand in like, oh, they're so mean to dairy cows. They like artificially inseminate them, and then they rip their calves away so that they can take the milk, or we can take the milk. And they cry out and long for their calves, and they cry and they mourn, and then they just impregnate them again. They just put a big syringe up their coochie and they just make them pregnant. But then it's tasty. I know that's not enough. I'm like battling myself right now. I keep imagining someone, probably like an old version of me, is standing here going, okay, well, who cares if it's tasty? That's not worth it. You think that's worth it? Abusing a cow? I guess so. No, it's not. It's not. But I do partake sometimes. Anyway, God, who am I defending myself against? Them. But anyway, I try to limit these things. I eat chicken or fish probably every day, and I eat a lot of eggs. But then other things like beef and pork are more special occasions. And then dairy also. I try not to like buy any dairy. Sometimes I'll have a weak moment if I'm in a grocery store and I'm hungry while grocery shopping, which is always a bad decision. I'll buy some dairy or whatever. And especially around the holidays when everyone's cooking, I just want to enjoy things. And then, so yeah, if I get a couple zits here and there, but what's great is that my stomach is healed enough that it can handle that. Cause there was a while where I couldn't even look at dairy. I looked at dairy and I got like 5 zits around here. I'd always get them around my eyebrows. My forehead was breaking out. Around my mouth was really bad. My jawline, my cheeks. I know that sounds like my whole face, but it did look like there were patterns. Cause it was like here on my cheeks, here on my jawline, here around my eyebrows, and then my forehead was just crazy. It was like really, really bad, really, really painful. And I got my hormones checked. It wasn't that. So yeah, it came down to my stomach. And I think it might have started with my hormones, because when I first started getting acne, I had a hormonal IUD and I had the Mirena. But when I got off that, my acne didn't really clear. So I was like, was it that? But it just kind of came out of nowhere, it felt. But also apparently like your gut can get that unhealthy due to immense stress. And I was just like really stressed out at that time. It's when I was like living in LA and I was 19 and didn't know what I was doing with my life. And then got in my relationship with my ex and started being long distance with him and flying back and forth and spending like months at a time over there and not doing anything. And I just felt so like, bleh. I was very stressed. And then he and I started fighting, and then getting my visa to go over there was so fucking crazy. Oh my God. Have I told you guys about the time that I got detained when I was getting my visa? That's a fun story. So also this had like no intro. I guess it doesn't matter. The point is just to talk, but I do have some things I want to get into eventually. I got some tea on my ex. I'm winking if you can't see. But I'll tell you about this time I got detained. Sorry if I've already told this story. I don't think I have though. But so getting your marriage visa to go over to the UK is very fucking difficult. It's very difficult. It takes a long time. It's very expensive. They need so many documents. Like you have to suck their dicks until they go blind to live in their fucking country, their godforsaken country. So we had to send off a stack of papers that were about this big, like no fucking joke. It was huge. It was like 3 or 4 inches tall. We had to copy all the papers. So we had an extra copy, and the copies alone was like $170 to do at the post office, like a crazy amount of money. And then the application fee, I can't remember exactly, but I think it was like $1,400. And then you have to wait like months and gathering all the documents they need. We had to go through my ex's bank statements for like the past year and highlight like income and expenses and all that to prove that he had enough money to support me. Like he had to be able to support me so that if I wasn't able to get a job or something, I wasn't going to be on welfare or something like that, or their version of it. But it was just very, very extensive and so stressful. And it caused a lot of stress on our relationship. I think it took like 7 months to put the application together or something crazy. But so we applied finally, and it was rejected. Could not believe it. It was rejected. Took them months to give the answer. And we were rejected because we were missing 2 documents. In this giant thing this big, we missed a couple. Like we went through checklist after checklist, and we had an advisor to help us. We paid this guy, but like still shit just slips through the cracks because it's just such a crazy process. And anyway, one of them was their mistake. It was in there. And then one of them we really did leave out, but it was just like one piece of paper. And they had an appeal option. You can appeal this decision, pay like $150, send us what we need within 30 days or whatever, and we'll look at your application again. If not, then you're going to have to totally reapply. Now, I looked up, this was true, if you are allowed to enter the UK during this appeal time. And you are. So here was my grand plan. Appeal the decision, pay the money, buy, during that time, buy a one-way ticket to London. And you can stay in the UK for up to 6 months on just a passport with no visa, which is what I had been doing. I had been going for like 3-4 months at a time. Buy a one-way ticket, chill, wait for the decision. If the decision came in under those 6 months, great. I was already there. I shipped my dog over. I had a going away party, which honestly felt kind of weird, but I did it anyway. I was like, this is it. I'll just go. And then the plan was, if it reached the 6-month point, then I would just come back to America and then finish waiting the appeal process there. So yeah, I shipped my dog over. That was crazy. Had to get him all these shots and documents, and it was so expensive. Oh, he's snoring. Let's see if I can get him snoring. Of course, this motherfucker just stopped as soon as I put the mic up. Okay, now he's moving. Rocky, just chill. It's okay, buddy. Yeah, so I was like really preparing to be over there, shipped a bunch of stuff. And I got to the border. You know, and everything felt off about that day. Everything. When I got to the airport to leave Seattle, the airport was weird. There was like nobody at the ticket counter. It was like an airline I wasn't really familiar with. It felt weird. I felt really disoriented that day. It kind of felt like I was in the middle of a dream. Just everything felt kind of off. Flew 10 hours over there. Yeah, get to the border. He scans my passport and he sees that I have my brand new passport with my new last name and everything. So this is my first stamp in it. He sees that I have a rejected visa and a one-way ticket. And I knew that it seemed kind of weird, but I didn't really know like why or like how to put into words that like I wasn't trying to scam the system. I didn't know exactly like what part of the system I would be scamming. I just didn't really know how to articulate my plan because I didn't know really what the issue was. I just knew that there was an issue. And so he's like, okay, we got a problem here. You're going to have to come over to this little holding cell. And if you've ever gone through customs and you see just like an area like not much bigger than my couch, maybe twice the size of my couch, where just a bunch of people are sitting and waiting, that's where I was. They brought my passport back to some head honchos in the back area. They look over the situation. They decide if you can go through or not. And I like immediately started crying. I was like, fuck, this is already scary. Like, what are you talking about? I'm being detained. Like I've officially been detained. Then I get taken back to a different holding room. I go through the border security. I have like an officer taking me back. And then I start doing some intake shit. They start writing on some forms. They're asking me questions. And it was this woman who was so fucking mean for no goddamn reason. She was so mean. It was a black woman. And I was, kind of hoping it'd be like, we're in this together. But no, she was like not having it. I feel like sometimes, especially with women, it's like, I understand you're in a male dominated place. People might not take you as seriously. There might be people like me who think we're going to have like some bond, or people who just don't respect you. And I feel like they then think that they have to be like extra aggressive to make up for that, to like prove their place, prove that they belong or something. But so she was mean. No one else was mean. She took me back to this room. Oh, Rocky didn't like that my alarm went off. She took me back to this room, started asking me questions. And I remember her being like, so you got married in the UK. Like that was something that I shouldn't have done. And I was like, yeah. But I couldn't think because I was panicking that like you had to get the government's approval to get married. We didn't just get married. We got married in a courthouse and you have to like get approval and stuff to do that. We didn't just like hire our friend who was an officiant. But I was just like, yeah. And she's like, but you got married. That's against the rules. Without a visa, that's against the rules. And I was just like, okay, like, sorry. And I was crying. And then they had to take my picture. And I was crying so much. And she just goes, wipe your face. Wipe your face. I was like, oh my God, I wiped my face so we could take this picture. No empathy. And then I get taken back to the room that I would become very familiar with. How I would describe this room, how I've been describing it for the last couple years, is it was like a nice DMV. Linoleum floors, beige walls, chairs, plastic chairs. There was a TV, but no remote, or I don't think there was a remote, or if there was, there just wasn't anything on TV. But it was just like reruns of just like old British sitcoms. And then eventually it became like King of Queens and Everybody Loves Raymond, like that kind of TV. So just like weirdly depressing. And it had a bathroom. There was a bathroom in there. And then there was like a kids area with toys and stuff. And the lights stayed on the whole time. And there was a payphone. But you couldn't make calls on the payphone. You could only receive calls. So when they took me back there, they took all my belongings. I asked if I could take a book and a journal, and they were like going through the pages, like checking to see if there was anything in it. Like you get treated like a criminal. Like it's crazy. They took all my bag. They take your cell phone. And then they give you their like office phone, and you're allowed to make 2 calls. You can make an international call and you can make a domestic call. So I called my ex and I gave him the phone number to the payphone and told him the situation. And then I called probably my mom and I gave her the phone number and I was like, I'm going in. I'm not going to have my phone. If you want to get in contact with me, you can call this number. Crazy. So then I just went in this room and I could not stop crying. I was bawling my fucking eyes out for hours and hours and hours. And I'd occasionally get a call. It was a big room. It was pretty large. It could probably hold like, not comfortably, but it could probably hold like 150, 200 people. There weren't that many chairs, but there was a space for that. And there was like sleeping mats and stuff. So you could like, sit on the floor. But it was only me in there for a while. And then throughout my time there, I think I counted 8 other people who cycled in and out. Everyone but one person was brown. Like there was an Asian dude, there was a black guy. But I was in there the whole time. And these people just kind of cycled in and out. And I guess they all ended up going through. But I can't remember what I was saying before that. Oh yeah, but okay, so because of that, I could answer the phone. And I knew the phone was for me, like every time. And I had random people calling. Like, I don't know, some of my mom's friends, not random, but I just didn't know who was going to call. Some of my mom's friends, my ex, my mom's pastor called me at one point and like prayed with me on the phone. That was uncomfortable. I hated that. He was like, I'm going to pray for you. And I was like, okay, thanks. Bye. And he goes, oh, no. I mean right now. And I was like, okay. And they probably have these phones fucking tapped, but, God, that shit was awful. And then eventually after a couple hours, they called me back into a room and I remember what this motherfucker looks like. I could point him out in a lineup for sure. Called me back in this room and that was like I don't know how to describe it. Just like not an office, but just a kind of a cold room. Can't remember if there were windows. I think there was a window on the door. It was just small and there was a table and 1 chair on each side or 2 chairs. And the chairs were nailed down to the ground. I remember looking down and seeing like screws in the chairs. I was like, God, dude, this is crazy because they don't want us throwing the chairs around. He asked me, so basically he told me, we're going to take you through all these questions, like 50 questions. We're going to call your husband and we're going to compare the answers to see if you're lying. And if your answers are sufficient, we'll let you through. And I was still crying. I wasn't eating anything. I didn't drink anything. I couldn't drink water. I wasn't eating snacks, nothing. They had all these snacks and stuff for us to eat. I was spiraling. Well, I had spiraled. I was just sitting at the bottom. So I was just sitting there crying and I was trying to answer these questions and I wasn't like thinking about the questions well enough or like, I just kind of thought like, if I just keep saying what my intentions are, then everything will be fine. Or if they just understand that like I'm just a little gal, like I don't understand what's going on, then they'll let me through. And I just was not prepared. It was questions like, how much money is in your bank account? And I didn't have any money. I don't know. I probably said like $500 or something. And they were like, well, then how do you sustain yourself? And I was like, well, my ex supports me. Okay. How much money does he give you? I was like, I don't know. Whenever I need money, he sends it to me. And I have his card on my phone and stuff. And they're like, no, okay, how much does he send you? And I was like, I don't know, $2,000 a month. And they were like, okay, $2,000 a month. And then we'll write down, husband sends her $2,000 a month. And I was just like, okay, I guess, and like, what do you do for work? And I was like, well, I'm not working or, so they're like expecting me to not have a job or I don't know, just like, where are you planning on living? I answered to the best of my ability, but I kind of just kept being like, I don't know. Cause I didn't understand what the issue was. I knew there was an issue, but I didn't understand fully what it was. So they take me through all these questions. They ask him all these questions at like the same time. So we can't talk and like discuss. There was nothing we needed to discuss. Like we were both telling the truth. It was just like confusing because there were so many ambiguous things like that. Like, I don't know. He just sends me money when I need it. I don't have an exact number. And I'm not working, so I don't know. And like I live with my parents right now and I don't know. So anyway, they asked me all these questions. I go back to my holding cell, like the nice DMV, still crying, still can't breathe. And I don't mean just like a couple tears here and there. I mean like hyperventilating for hours. And after a couple more hours, they eventually call me back. Oh, and when they were asking me questions, the like head honcho came in to watch me answer these questions. And then when he left, the guy who had been interviewing me, or like I was assigned to, told me that doesn't really ever happen. My case was so like nuanced or like confusing or whatever that he came in to observe, and that just does not happen. But I guess he didn't fucking like my answers, because they pulled me back in and told me I was not allowed to enter the country. I was at London Heathrow Airport. At that point, I had been there probably 6 to 8 hours. Told me I was not allowed to enter the country. Basically, he just slipped a piece of paper and it said like, your answers were insufficient. We don't believe, based on your answers, that you'll be able to financially support yourself in this country, or that you'll leave before your visa is up. And I was just like, huh? Like, wait, that's the issue? Of course I want to, like, I've already applied for the appeal. You can see that I've submitted the appeal. I have every intention of getting my visa. I know, like, well, now I know. It looks like I had a rejected visa. I got a one-way ticket. In your mind, I just said, fuck the system. I'm going to come in anyway. But you can see that I already appealed the decision, and like the process is happening. So, huh? And I remember the guy was like, come on, like, how can you forget a document doing that? I was just like, bitch, how about you shut the fuck up? Have you ever tried to apply for a visa as someone who has like no legal training and has no idea how immigration works? What? We tried our best. Hang on, I need a sip of my veggie mash smoothie. And I was kind of like, oh, well, okay, so these are the issues. I can address these issues specifically. I am going to get a card to his bank account, and this is how much money he makes, and he can support me, and this is why. And also my brother lives over there. So if worst case scenario, if my husband couldn't, my brother could support me. And this is my plan for leaving the country in under 6 months. But I didn't know that, so I couldn't tell them that. And so after they slid that piece of paper to me, I was like, is there anything else I can do? Is there anyone else I could talk to? And the guy was just like, no. And I definitely tried to play the sympathy card, which does not work with these officials. And I was genuinely crying and genuinely upset, but I like wailed. I mean, it was like, I was feeling these things, but I did turn it up because I thought maybe if they see how upset I am or surprised or whatever. And I was like crying and stuff. And then he goes, even your reaction right now, like, what is this? Why are you reacting like this? Just go home and apply for the visa again. Like you're overreacting. And then I was like, overreacting? My husband has been sitting 30 feet away from me on the other side of this border with my dog, who landed an hour before me. And I've been detained without my phone and without all my belongings for the past 6-8 hours, whatever. Like, and you just told me I can't enter. I'm not overreacting. My feelings were true and real, but I was definitely trying to scream a little bit more. But it didn't work, obviously. And he said, yeah, all the flights for the rest of the night, rest of the day, were done. So by that point, it was evening. So I was going to have to wait until morning. And the next flight was coming in 15 hours. So I had to go back to my holding cell. And I just continued to cry. And they offered me, there was like another holding cell, like on the other side of the airport. They were like, you can stay in this one or you can go to that one. And I was like, what's the difference? And they were like, that's up to you. I was like, you're not telling me, like, why would I go there? Or should I stay here? Like, what? Like, you're giving me the option, but I'm not understanding what the options are. But the other one had showers. So I said, sure, this will eat up some time. I'll go take a shower. So I requested a shower, and like an hour later, some guy, actually, I think it was two people, they escorted me to a van, and it was like a Sprinter van, and it had, I've never talked about this so extensively, and it had like a metal grate behind the driver, like basically a cop car. And I was in the back of this van alone, and they drove me really far. It was like 10 minutes, going around the planes and stuff, the other side of the airport. And they're like escorting me this whole time. And then I get passed off to another holder at this other place. And they gave me a little pack for a shower. There was like a toothbrush in there and some body wash. And I feel like I remember it being cold, or maybe just the space was cold or the water was cold. I can't remember. But I didn't have any lotion. I remember that. So I got out and I just felt like I need to put lotion on after a shower. But I sped through that shower because I thought they were waiting on me. So I sped through it. I took that shower in like 5 minutes. I was just like, just like, at least I can be a little bit clean. And I come out and they were like, oh, okay, we got a request for a driver to come back to you now. And I was like, what? So then I just sat in this other holding cell, nothing on me still, no phone, no book, no belongings. I was just in the same clothes, or maybe I got new clothes, but I think it was the same. Maybe I got underwear or something. But I was just sitting there, and I remember it was a smaller room, and it kind of looked like the rainbow room on Stranger Things, like where they kept all the kids. And I just sat on this beanbag, and I was watching some show that I didn't understand. I think it was in like Spanish or something, or it was like super British, but it just did not compute with my brain. And I just sat on this beanbag for I think like an hour and a half waiting for the van to come get me again. And I remember one of the workers came in, and he said something to me, and I go, "Oh, are you my guy?" And he was like, "Huh? I'm not your guy." And I meant like, "Are you my driver?" But then he was really nice to me. I can't remember what we talked about, but I think he sat in there and like talked to me for a couple minutes, like 5 or 10 minutes. And all the people they had taking care of us who weren't the officers who had to make decisions were all super nice because they weren't involved. Their job was to make sure that we stayed alive, we had food or water if we needed, and that was about it. They didn't know what our case was. They didn't know why we were in there. They didn't care. And eventually I got picked up and taken back to the other place. And then this other lady who was over there was like, she was like my guardian angel. She was so nice. And I was just crying the whole time, and she kept coming in to check on me and like ask if I needed anything. And I was just like, "No, I didn't do anything wrong." And she was like, "It's not on me to decide." And anyway, so I had like 12 hours to kill after that. So I tried to go to sleep. So I dragged, and they didn't turn any of the lights off except for in the children's room, but the children's room also had windows so the lights could come in, but it was the darkest room in there. And I was by myself. There was no one else being detained overnight, just me. And so I dragged a sleeping mat. They were like this thick, for like 4 or 5 inches. Dragged it into the children's room, and I tried to sleep. And I got some sleep like on and off for like 2 hours, but didn't really get anywhere. And eventually just gave up and just went back out and sat in the main room for the rest of the time. And then when morning came, I tried to eat some oatmeal, but I couldn't. Like my stomach, my body was just rejecting it. I still couldn't drink water, nothing. And I just watched Everybody Loves Raymond until they were ready to take me. And then these 2 people had to escort me to the plane. And they took me around security. I mean, I had to go through security, but they took me to the front of the line, had to cut through there, and then took me to the plane, handed my passport to the flight attendants. They still, to the people at the front desk, and then to the flight attendants. They still wouldn't give me my stuff or my passport. I finally had my backpack, so I had my phone, but my main suitcase I still didn't have. They were like, "We're going to put it on the plane for you." I checked they like scanned my passport, whatever, and I start walking down the bridge to the plane. I had to go through another round of security. Like they were like fucking on this shit, man. Oh, and I didn't fucking care. I had these 2 people behind me, like escorting me, making sure I wasn't going to bomb the country or whatever. And I didn't fucking care. We get up to the desk, and I was like, "Excuse me, can I please change my seat?" Because they put me in a middle seat on my 10-hour flight home. They did not make me pay for the flight, which I've heard some people have to. I can't remember if they told me I was going to or not, but somehow I didn't pay for that flight. But they put me in a middle seat, and I got on the plane, and it was like half full. They didn't have to put me on a middle seat. Like, I'm just like, bro, y'all don't give a fuck, do you? So I'm like, I don't care if y'all think I'm a terrorist. I would like a window seat, please. And they moved me. So I got a middle seat. They still wouldn't give me my passport. I finally get on the plane, and I asked the flight attendants, I was like, "You guys have my passport. Can I please get it?" And they were like, "Oh, no, sorry. We're told we're not allowed to give it to you until we land in Seattle." So I was like, "Okay, fine." Start this 10-hour flight home. When I got on the plane is when my body finally relaxed a little bit. I did these things. I got my food. They gave us a meal. I watched, specifically, If Beale Street Could Talk. I watched a movie. Finally fed myself. And then I was prescribed Klonopin at the time. I popped a Klonopin and I slept for 6 hours. I do not sleep on planes. 6 hours was crazy. I woke up, and after watching the movie, that ate up an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then I slept for so long. I woke up and I was basically there. I had like an hour and a half left of the flight. It was so easy peasy. And then I get back to Seattle and had to deal with all that shit, whatever. Oh, get back to Seattle. They still wouldn't give me my passport. I was then escorted through customs, taken to like a separate desk where they had to scan my passport and all that. And then they finally give it to me. I go down to baggage claim. I don't see my bag. I asked the lady and she's like, oh yes, we knew you were coming. Like, we've been waiting for you. And I was like, that's fucking crazy that like airports are communicating about my presence. And she goes, oh yeah, we knew you were coming. Your bag isn't here. So these motherfuckers just didn't even put my suitcase on the plane. I was like, I was detained for 25 hours. You couldn't find time to put my bag on the plane. You guys couldn't make sure that my bag got put on the plane. So it got shipped over the next day, and then it was driven to my house by some airport people, whatever. And that is the story of when I got detained. That was my first, I would say, traumatizing experience that I was able to recognize. I was like, oh, that was trauma. And now I have more anxiety about flying. It's subsided a bit, but international still kind of gets me stressed. Domestic, I'm actually pretty okay, but international, and especially when I was living in London, every time I had to go to the airport in London, I tried to go to Gatwick every time because Heathrow is where I got detained. So especially when I was at Heathrow, I was just thinking about like the belly underneath where we were. I was like, there are some people getting detained right now underneath us, and it was traumatizing, and I genuinely felt triggered whenever I went to that airport again. But okay, so yeah, that's how I got detained. But okay, so guess fucking what? Guess fucking what? Rocky, why are you grumbling? He hates when you move. There he is. He's kidding. So I heard some tea. These head hangs are kind of becoming like therapy, or like I'm processing a lot of shit on here. I did not expect to be processing my last relationship so fucking much on here, but it's happening. So I posted my last video, Heb Hangs episode 5, where I went all into the messy details of my divorce. I'm sure I left out some stories, some things here and there, whatever, but for the most part, I was pretty open with it. I've had a couple people reach out. First, a guy commented on the video and mentioned the night that my ex was doing coke behind my back. He said something like, that night was crazy. I'm glad to see you're doing well. And that was the motherfucker that bitch was being racist towards. And I was like, holy shit. We didn't exchange contact information. We haven't spoken since that night. This has got to be probably 3 years ago now. We've not spoken since that night. Had no idea that they had found me online or anything like that. So already I was like, oh my God, like someone else to corroborate that night even existed is crazy. The fact that he just commented on this already felt crazy. I was like, should I reach out? I found him on Instagram and I was like, should I message him? Is that crazy? Am I dredging up old stuff? What will that do for me? Will that be beneficial for me? Will that help? Or will it just like bring up all this pain? Will it remind me? I don't know. So I decided against it. And then also he's a guy and I don't know. I didn't, for some reason, just men. I don't know. I didn't want to reach out. And he's still with the girl who they came as a couple. He's still with the girl who was also there. And I was like, I don't know. I'm not trying to like message him. I don't know. Anyway, but then the girl messaged me. I was like, ah! The girl messaged me. She messaged me. She was like, that night was fucking crazy. I'm like buzzing right now. My body is buzzing. To just have two people confirm that night existed and that it was insane. And she confirmed there were like when I said, this bitch, can't remember what I called her last time, but Kathy or something. When she like looked at me and gave my dog the chicken leg when I said not to feed him, this girl reminded me that bitch said, it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. I forgot she said that. So, and this girl, she apologized. She was like, I'm sorry for not like sticking up for you that night. I'm like, lady, that was not your job. That was my husband's job. You know, the imbecile who just sat there in silence and was doing drugs every time I went to the bathroom and telling me that he wasn't. You know him, the one with the wedding ring on his finger, whose pee-pee I put inside me. Sorry, Dad, you shouldn't watch these. He's the one who should have been sticking up for me, not you. Ugh, at all. But, oh, also, they were not friends. She worked with Crazy Bitch. So there was like a, power dynamic there. It's like, that's her boss. How much can she say right now? She wants to keep her job and all that. So I didn't blame her at all. But so that just felt really validating. Really, really validating. And I was like, I cannot believe that my video reached some other people who were there. And it wasn't like a huge party. There were maybe 5 guests. I think it was me, my ex, this couple, and then I think one other person, and then head bitch who was running the party. So anyway, that was really validating. And then guess fucking what? You know who I got a DM from today? My ex's ex-girlfriend. And guess fucking what? He cheated on me with her. 2 months into our relationship, they hooked up. That lying, scheming, manipulative mother goddamn fucker fucking cheated on me. He's always been a liar. That's why it came so fucking easily to him when we opened up the relationship. Because he had so much goddamn practice. And okay, so this girl, I don't blame her at all. She said that she had no idea it existed. I believe her. I fucking believe her. Okay, so they dated he told me, okay, this is the information that he told me. They dated for about 7 years on and off, mostly through their teens. And what he had always told me is, we cheated on each other. It was really messy. It was really toxic, but I've grown since then, whatever. And it was so long ago. It had been, a couple years since then. And he really did seem just like the best guy. Like he seemed like the best guy, like just perfect golden angel child, just so sweet and best kisser ever. Just got me roses for my first birthday. Fucked up every birthday after that, but got me 3 dozen roses and just love bombed the shit out of me. So I was just like, wow, he's past that. And that was just teenage him. And so I just heard that, they were like toxic and in their teens and whatever. But I definitely knew who she was. And there was a time he like left her art up in his studio. And I just remember being like, that's kind of fucking weird. Like, you're married and you have your ex-girlfriend's like a giant piece of art, like 3 by 3 feet. Like right behind his studio desk. And I remember being like, can you get rid of that maybe? Like, if she's not like significant anymore, like, I'm sorry if she is watching this. I'm not, this just all the things that he was saying to me. I'm not saying she's insignificant or anything, but I was just like, that's kind of weird. Like, can you get rid of it? And I remember he was like so upset about that. And I was just kind of like, I would never keep my ex-boyfriend's giant piece of art up in the place that I spend the most time for everyone to see. I would take that shit down out of respect for my new partner. I mean, even if I wasn't in a relationship, I'd probably take it down anyway. But so he's like so upset about that. But somehow or another, it came up. I can't remember if I asked or if he told me. I feel like in my heart, I can't remember specifically, but I feel like I did ask, when's the last time you guys hooked up? Because he said they were on and off for a long time, but occasionally saw each other, occasionally hooked up. And I remember his answer being dodgy as fuck. I remember it being dodgy as fuck, and I cannot believe that I did not see it. But I just thought, there's no way he would cheat. Like, it just didn't even cross my mind. I remember it being dodgy as fuck. It was like, he was saying like, I mean, I don't know if my mind is just connecting dots or whatever. So he and I started dating in April of 2017. I think. And I think he said something like May 2017. And I was like, huh? Or he said like around when we got together or whatever. And I was just like, well, when? Like before? And he was like, well, I don't really remember. And I was like, well, Was it like a month before we started dating? Was it like a week? Was it when we started talking but we weren't dating yet? Because there was only like a 5-day span of when we started talking and when we became official. Like we obviously moved so fucking fast. So like, was it in there? And he was just kind of like, no, I don't think so. I don't really remember, but no. And I think he like started to get all like, I don't remember. Stop asking me so many questions. And I was just kind of like, okay. Okay. Fine. That motherfucker hooked up with her in May. She told me. And I fucking believe her. And you know why? Because when she said that when she saw our anniversary like announced on Facebook or, you know, Facebook official, whatever, the date that we started dating like officially was her birthday. So she knows exactly that timeline. She has her birthday for reference. She knows that we were official and then they hooked up a month or two later. I fucking believe her. That motherfucker cheated on me. I found this out an hour ago. And I was like, I was planning on recording an episode of Heb Hangs. I'm about to have to process this in front of my audience. I am a little bit in shock. I'd say my main feeling is shock. Definitely some anger. But also, whatever the feeling of that motherfucker, whatever that feeling is, I feel a lot of. Kind of like crazed. I feel a little crazed. I feel like, and if there was any last ounce of like, aw, towards him, or like, it was good until it wasn't, I'm like, oh my God. I feel justified. I feel fucking justified. And it makes me question, of course, what else was there? I guess I don't need to know. What does that do for me? It doesn't really benefit me in any way to know anything else. I guess you could argue that I don't need to know this either. But in a way, I think it will help me heal. Because I've been saying for a while now, I have felt like 90% healed from the whole situation. But there's been the last 10% that I just haven't really known what to do with. And I think maybe that last 10% was like a lonely feeling, that like no one else was there to see how crazy this was and to see how poorly I was treated, especially in the end. That it was so bad. It's unfathomable how disrespected I was. All the shit I did aside, because I know I wasn't perfect. I feel like I need to say that every time. I'm not trying to blame one person, but oh my fucking God. The shit he put me through, especially at the end, was out of this world abusive. So awful and mean. I felt so alone. I felt so alone. And like that dinner that night when he was doing coke, that was just one instance where I felt so alone. Because, you know, it felt like him and this bitch versus me, and they had their thing going, and I didn't know that they were doing drugs. And then to have someone else who was there, it feels like, oh my God, it like brings it back to reality. It's like, this wasn't in my head. I didn't make this shit up. This really happened. My feelings are real. Well, I guess I knew my feelings were real, but this situation was real. And then to have this girl, his ex, reach out and say, he treated me like that too. He cheated on me. And then also, bitch, he cheated on you with me. I'm like, what? It's a shock. It's a bit of a paradigm shift, because I'm like, oh, okay. So it felt like I was with someone, and then at the end I was like, I learned, oh, he isn't the guy I always thought he was. Or like, now he's suddenly acting like this because something switched, or switch flipped or whatever. But it's like, oh no, he's always been that guy. He cheated on me 2 months into our relationship. And then we got married after that. Was there anybody else? We were long distance. Don't you forget it. We were long distance for the first, we were together 4.5 years. We were long distance for like over 2 years, between 2 to 3 years, like 2.5. That's a lot of time he could have been doing anything. Anything. He did it once. You think that's the only time he did that? Part of me, probably the Delulu part, just because I don't have any confirmation. I think it's hard for me to believe things with certainty without total confirmation. Even if all the signs are there, I need like solid factual evidence in front of me. But I think I would be delusional to think that that was the only time. When he had all that time away from me, I was in America for 2-3 months at a time. I was asleep for half of his day because of the time difference. He could have been doing anything. And it's confirmed that he was doing something. On one of those trips when we were away from each other, we got into a relationship. We became official. I came back to America. He was still in London. He was coming to visit me a month later. And in that month, he fucked someone else. Holy fucking shit. Any last ounce of empathy or understanding or not wanting to drag this motherfucker. The only thing I so far won't do is say his name, but I'm not protecting him. I guess I just, I don't know. I guess just when I listen to podcasts, they never say people's names, but it'd be very easy to like figure out who he was. I mean, I guess I deleted him all off my social media and all that, but like, it's not really hidden. Like you'd have to do some digging, but you could figure it out, whatever. But I guess that part I'll just let other people figure out, because I don't want to act like I'm sicking anybody on him. Like go harass this man or anything like that, which I don't know if anybody would do, but I kind of just want to leave that part in God's hands. God, you know what I mean? Like, I think at first also I felt like, even though it had gotten so bad and he treated me so poorly without knowing about the cheating, I had felt like, oh, is it kind of like wrong to talk about all this stuff online? But I listen to Dax Shepard's podcast a lot, Armchair Expert, and he has a really crazy story. You know, he was a drug addict. He had abusive stepdads. His mom was kind of checked out. And his mom has told him basically, you know, this is your story. It may not paint me in the best light, but this is your story and you should be able to speak about it however you need to. And so I kind of took that. I was like, well, this is my story. I feel like as long as I'm not putting his name out there or intentionally trying to drag him or trying to ruin his reputation or whatever, this shit did happen. And if he didn't want it to be public, he shouldn't have fucking done it. But I think there was still a small part of me that was like, oh, like last week, you know, I started the episode being like, am I going to be messy? Like, oh, it feels like maybe this could come back to bite me, or, you know, I might get an angry email from him, or he might hear about this somehow, or I was like a little bit scared. But now that I have heard about this, oh, fuck you. Absolutely fuck you. Absolutely fuck you. Absolutely, you disgusting piece of scum. I feel so justified and validated. Justified and validated. Fuck you all the way to hell. Fuck you all the way to hell. Stupid ass bitch. Fuck you all the fuck you. Wow. It's a crazy feeling. It's a crazy feeling. And I'm sure I'm going to be processing it a lot more and thinking about it a lot more. And wow. Wow. I've been cheated on. I've never known if I've been cheated on. My first boyfriend, I kind of wondered maybe if he ever cheated on me. That was never confirmed, but we were 19. I was 19 and he was 21. So, you know, he's just like a young, stupid man. That doesn't justify it, obviously. But, you know, they're just like fucking stupid at that age. Actually, any age, they're just stupid. Obviously, we're learning. God, I can't believe that motherfucker cheated on me. What? But anyway, with my first boyfriend, I remember in particular, well, one time I was looking through his phone. Cocaine seems to be a running trend with my partners. These white men, I guess, just can't get enough of it. Because when I was 19, I was like, if we're dating, I don't want you doing drugs. I don't feel comfortable with that. I hadn't even like smoked weed at that point. I think I started to when we were dating, but I hadn't drank. I was really like pretty straight edge and I was pretty Christian. And I was just like, if we are dating, you can't do drugs. So if you want to do them, you need to break up with me. And then the one time I have snooped through a partner's phone, he was in the shower and I looked through his phone and he was texting his friend and he was like, sure wish I could get some of that angel dust. And I was like, and even though it seemed like he hadn't been doing it, just the fact that he was like vocalizing how much he missed it, I just kind of felt like, oh, I thought this was like an agreement and like you have some like, I don't know, are you going to start doing it? Or like, why aren't you talking to me about this or whatever? So that was just like a little just the tiniest And then I remember we went to a wedding together and he like left with some girls at the wedding for like 2 hours and just like wasn't answering his phone. Like 3 girls just fucking left. I think he said he was going to get cigarettes because he smoked. Blech. He was going to get cigarettes and he was gone for so long and wasn't answering his phone. And I was so upset. I was so happy to be at that wedding with him. We were at his sister's wedding and I was so excited to like dance with him and do the bouquet toss. And, you know, he was my first boyfriend. I was so excited to do all the boyfriend things. And, he just like didn't come back for a long time. And then I remember, when we finally broke up, it was Halloween because first boyfriend, we were only together 6 months. So it was our first and last Halloween. And I was so excited to do a couple's costume. That's like all I wanted in the entire world was to do a couple's costume. And I had been talking about it for months. And this is the first time I had realized that people just say shit and they don't stick to their word. Because I wanted to be Catwoman and he was saying that he was going to be Two-Face. And he was like, oh, I'm going to go to Goodwill and get a bunch of different pants and 2 shirts and I'm going to cut them down the middle and I'm going to sew them together. So half my body's one way and half my body's the other way. And I was like, great. That motherfucker didn't even step foot in a Goodwill. Like, what are you talking about? Of course he didn't do that shit. And then come Halloween, there was a party a couple nights before Halloween that he did not go to with me. I think he went to another party or something. So I just went to this thing alone and I was like, where's my boyfriend? Not with me. Went to this thing alone. And then I think on actual Halloween, there was another opportunity. I think I wanted him to like come over and like hang out with me or something. And then he just like hung out with his guy friends, just like did not even fucking see me. And I was so excited for the couple costume and I was so heartbroken. I was like, but I was so excited for my Catwoman costume and it costs money and I don't have a lot of money. And I got black lipstick and I had a little masquerade mask and I was so excited. And it just didn't happen. We just didn't see each other like the entire week of Halloween. I was so sad. And then the next time I saw him a couple days later, early November, we ended up breaking up. I didn't go there with the intention of breaking up, but I went there with the intention of like, I remember I said, that was so bad and so hurtful that I kind of wanted to break up with you. And then the more we talked, you know, I was about to move to LA and he wasn't going to move. He couldn't even put together a Halloween costume or see me on Halloween. He wasn't going to move like he said he was going to. So we ended up breaking up. And we were really sad about that. And then I ended up getting with my next boyfriend literally 2 weeks later. And then my next boyfriend was super abusive. But anyway, so all that to say, I have wondered if in that first relationship he cheated because, you know, I don't know. He's just like doing these things and not hanging out with me and going to parties without me. Like, is he going to be loyal? He's 21 and like fucking stupid. And he was hot. So wouldn't put it past him. Even if he was just kissing other people at party. I don't know. Wouldn't put it past him. But that's never been confirmed. My second boyfriend, I don't think he cheated on me. He was fucking crazy, but I don't think he cheated on me. He wasn't as hot, so he couldn't like pull people as easily. He would have had to work a lot harder. I mean, he could have found people for sure. He wasn't ugly, but he wasn't like running in the same types of groups. He wasn't like going to parties and like being social like that. He was kind of just like fucking dumb. They're all dumb. But anyway, so now to have a confirmed case, it feels like I've just entered into a new category of people who have been cheated on. You know, when shit happens, like I don't have a dead parent, but I've heard people say like, you know, I'm part of the dead mom club. It's like you just kind of get indoctrinated into new clubs. I am in the divorced club. When that happened, I'm like, oh my God, I'm one of them now. I'm one of them. I'm in this subgroup of people. And now I'm in the been cheated on club. It kind of feels a little bit exciting to be here. And you know what? All this shit, I'm like, this is material. All of this is material. Thank you. 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 You just gave me a new storyline, bitch. Aha! Not me processing in real time. Whew. Oh my God. You know what? I'm not going to go into too many details. But I have loosely been seeing someone and bitch. I genuinely don't know if I have ever been this attracted to someone. Especially like someone who was also attracted to me and I had the opportunity to kiss. It makes me fucking want to faint. It makes me want to faint. For a while there, I know everyone goes through this sometimes, and not to like trivialize this or anything, but for a while I was like, am I asexual? Like I just have not had a crush in a long time. I'm like kind of crushes, but I haven't been like feral for someone who was kind of feral for me back in like a very long time. So do I found that again? And you know what? I will say this. I found this man. He's a fucking man. I found this man like almost immediately after, I think I mentioned this in a previous episode. Someone on TikTok was like, ladies, we are giving it up way too easy. You need to raise these standards. We have something so valuable. Like our bodies are incredibly valuable. We need to stop letting people all up in there for nothing. They got to work for this shit. You got to raise those standards. Maybe you'll be meeting less people. Maybe you'll be dating less. Maybe you'll be hooking up less. But the bar will be raised. And I raised that shit. If I was not super feeling something, I was like, I'm good. I'm good. If I'm not feeling it after like one date, I'm good. If we're messaging on Field or Hinge or whatever, and I'm not really feeling it on there, I'm not going to go out with you. Oh my God. But anyway, so right after I did that, I met this man and holy fucking shit. But I'm not going to date him. We're not going to date. There's actually literally no possible way we could date, which is kind of nice because I'm not looking for a relationship. So having a boundary, like a hard and fast boundary that is like cannot be skewed, it's kind of nice because it sets my crazy mind at ease. I don't have to constantly be thinking, oh, what is this? Are we going to turn into something, whatever? But no, for now, whatever is happening, I am into it. Into it. Into it. Into it. Okay, one last thing and then I'll go. If you are on dating apps, I would highly suggest you check out Field if you have not already. FEELD. Field. It is a very sex forward app and it's very like kink friendly. Like if people are in the BDSM community or in open relationships or they're bi-curious or newly queer or want to experiment or they're a couple looking for a third, whatever, this is the place that everyone there is like accepted and that is the space for it. No one is judging anything like that. Like everyone is very open and vocal about their wants and desires, and you know, people will take the BDSM test and they'll post their results in their profile so like you know what kind of sexual partner they are and all that. But this is why I say everyone should get on there. That is just where those things are accepted. You don't have to have those things in your profile, and not everyone does. A lot of people are like just here for cute dates, and that's all they have in their profile. It's so low pressure on there and everyone is so not everyone. Of course, I've met some weirdos, but that is hands down where I have met the best people. The best people. It's just people because it's not even, if you're not necessarily looking for people in the BDSM community or looking for a third or whatever. If you are, great. But even if you're not looking for that, you are going to find people who are accepting of that. And when you're finding people who are accepting of that, you're probably going to find more open-minded people who are more emotionally in tune with themselves, people who are just like available and more in touch and just open and honest. Like I've had so much good, honest, open communication on there. Like it's crazy. It is the app to beat all apps. It's glitchy as fuck. They absolutely need better developers. 100%. It is glitchy. It can like crash randomly. I get stuck on a loading screen for like 3 minutes sometimes, but it lets you like send disappearing messages if you want or whatever. But hands down the best place. It's where I've met this man. And where I met this guy that I dated for like 3 months last year. When I was in an open relationship, it's where I met all my partners on there, or for that or whatever was on there. So yeah, but my friend yesterday was texting in our group chat saying like, oh, I don't know if Field is a place for me because I'm looking for a relationship now. I'm kind of looking for something long-term. It's not just for hookups. There are lots of people who are looking for genuine relationships. I promise. It's a great app. You will find some great people on there. I promise. Also some weirdos. My sexual assault story that I told last episode, found on Field. But this man, Field. So anyway, I'm so fucking hungry. So I think I'm going to leave it there. But oh my God, thank you for coming to my processing session. I feel so vindicated. Define vindicated.
Vindicate means clear someone of blame or suspicion.
Or show or prove to be right, reasonable, or justified. That's the second definition. Fuck yeah, I feel vindicated. Holy goddamn shit, fucking shit, fuck goddamn fucking shit. You fucking kidding me? I was cheated on. I'm in the club. Wow. Shit's crazy. All right. Anyway, I'm so hungry. I need to feed myself. It's 3 p.m. and all I've had is a couple sips of this smoothie and a pastry and a coffee. That's not good. I need to take care of my body now. Well, thank you so much for coming back to an episode of Heb Hanks. I didn't even tell you about my Christmas or anything like that. It was chill. It was fine. I didn't fly home. I went home for like 2 days before Christmas to see some friends. They all pooled together and bought me a ticket up, which was so nice. So I could come to our annual Christmas party, because it's the only time that all 7 of us are in the same place is around Christmas. So that was really fun. And then I stayed at my friend Katie's house and hung out with her and her wife and their roommate and played with their doggy, and it was just nice and lovely. And we played board games, and then on Christmas Eve I went over to my brother's house, came back to LA Christmas Eve, went over to my brother's house. I dressed up like a nice slutty Christmas tree. I looked hot. I looked good. I've had a couple people try to holla from that. One of my brother's friends. Listen, brother's friends. Listen, if you're one of my brother's friends, watch this right now. Listen to me. Nobody cares if you're trying to get at your girl. But you gotta be honest with my brothers. Don't try to go behind their back. They are not the type of brothers who are like, that's my sister, no one can get with her, keep your hands off. Bro, just be fucking honest. Yo, your sister's kind of cute. Do you mind if I take her on a date? Do you mind if I ask her out? Just do that. Come on, we're all adults. But I've had a couple. It's been kind of a thing in me and my brother's relationship that we've had to kind of deal with. My ex-husband started off as my brother's friend. I have hooked up with another one of his friends. Neither of those guys talked to my brother first. And then since then, you know, there's been like talking, or there's been the little thing and all that, but I've like had to be like, oh, right, he doesn't like this, which makes sense, because it's not the fact that I'm like out here or they're out here, but it's like you're trying to go behind your friend's back. So then I have to be like, hey, I hooked up with your friend. And then it's like, now I seem like this fucking, not to slut shame, but this like little slutty sister, just like can't take her around my friends because she'll try to fuck everybody. It's like, that's not the case either. I'm just like a human, and you have hot ass friends. Stop having such hot friends. But oh my God, they have this one friend, actually two. Oh, there's a couple. Mm. Mm, 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 mm. Mm, 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 mm. I hope they see this, which they won't, because they're not watching this shit. Well, it's not shit, but they're not watching this stuff. But yeah, just be honest. What was I saying? Oh yeah, but there's been a new development. One of his friends like sent my selfie, DM'd it to me and said like, you did that. I'm like, nigga, please. You better back the fuck up. I've known you for, how old am I? I've known you for like 8 years. Like, you didn't try to holla then. Stop trying to holla now. Stop it. Stop. That's sleazy of you to go behind your friend's back. I feel like I was saying something else though. Oh yeah, that was Christmas Eve, and we played games. My brother's girlfriend made us some little snacky poos, and we did karaoke, but we did the karaoke where you put the words on the screen and then you have to face away from the screen and like try to get the words right. That was fun. We did that for a couple songs. I was definitely like, I was out here in like, hooker boots and the short dress, like to be at my brother's house, but it was fun. And then the next day on Christmas, I went to my other brother's house, who lives very close to my other brother, and went over there and had a lovely, just chill Christmas. We didn't do any gifts this year, or they ended up all getting small gifts for everyone. But we had all agreed no gifts this year. So anything that came after that was just out of the kindness of their heart, but nothing was expected. It's like, a very penny pinching Christmas for me, and they knew that, and they didn't expect anything from me. I just brought Smirnoff ice and I iced everyone all day. If you don't know what icing is, it's when you get a Smirnoff ice and you hide it somewhere, and then whoever finds it has to get down on one knee and chug the whole thing. It's so much fun. And I brought a 6-pack and I iced everyone. Actually, my brother's girlfriend got away with it, or she didn't get iced, but everyone else, I put one in the bathroom sink. I put one in the couch. I put one on the stairs. I put one in the fridge. I put one in the garage because we come in through the garage. So they were right there at the door. So right when they showed up, they had to do it. But yeah, it was just so low key and so chill. And my roommate was gone. So I had Christmas morning here by myself. It was just me and Rocky, and I don't know. It was like there was potential for it to be kind of sad or lonely, but I was just kind of like chilling. I just got up when I wanted. I took him on a nice walk. I took him up to this canyon and let him run around for a while and watched some Breaking Bad. Bought a little veggie tray to bring over for Christmas and moseyed my way over there at like 2 p.m. and it was just very chill, and then came back home and watched some TV by myself. It's nice. It's nice when there's just not, just sometimes I'm like, bro, we're losing the plot. Like we're adults now. Do we really need to put this much pressure on gifts? I feel like, everyone has their own thing, but me personally, I care if I have a partner. If I have a partner, absolutely get me a gift and I will get you a gift. It doesn't need to be expensive, even if we're penny pinching, just something thoughtful. That is what I care about. Something that shows you care, that you listen, that you value me, that you value this, that you want to see me happy. That is what I care about. Partners, 100%. Everyone else, I don't expect anything, and I don't want you to expect anything from me. Come on, there's already so much stress around the holidays. If you're traveling, money, there's no need to put that pressure on each other. Let's all just shut the fuck up. And even birthdays are becoming like that. If I get anything, again, partners, absolutely, you better get me something. You better treat me right. But family, I mean, it's nice. I will say it is nice to get something from like my parents on my birthday. Again, even if it's small, like a gift card to Ulta or something. I think my parents did that for me on Valentine's Day last year, and that was really nice and thoughtful. But for the most part, I'm just like, I would just like to be cared for. Can you just tell me that you love me on my birthday? And like, it's nice if someone plans something or gets you a cake or something. That's really nice. Just, again, thoughtful gestures. Spend time with me. Let's go do something fun that I enjoy. Like this past year, we went to Six Flags in the morning, and I fucking love Six Flags. If there's one thing you got to know about me, it's that I love Six Flags and roller coasters. And then in the evening, I had a bunch of friends meet up for drinks, and we went to Jumbo's Clown Room in East Hollywood, which is like a clown themed strip club. That was super fun. But mostly I just enjoy having people I care about and who care about me all together. That shit is like 100% what I live for. Just that human connection where we just all love each other and just Maybe let's kiss. I don't know. We don't have to kiss, but if we do, that's nice. I just love kissing, and I love kissing my friends. But okay, my timer just went off that my camera's about to hit 20 minutes and I'll have to stop the recording and restart it again. So I'm going to wrap this up before I get cut off. Thank you so much for coming back to Heb Hangs episode 6. Last episode was so fun. I cannot believe the traction it got and how many people reached out. This episode was fun. I hope you enjoyed my stories. Can't believe he cheated. Love that for us. And I will see you next time on Heb Hangs episode 7. Ta-ta for now!